been around the Writing Wives verse for a while knows we've been training authors on Facebook ads since 2019. It was something that came about. Actually, it was, I can't remember the guy, Brandon Ellis. I forgot his last name for a second. It was Brandon Ellis who suggested after 20 books 2019 that I actually teach a class for people, and charge money for it, and on how to run Facebook ads. And that one event sort of like kicked off teaching authors how to do Facebook ads and all the consulting and things we do. Before that, I kind of did get my foot in the door with the Help My Facebook Ads Suck and my read through calculator spreadsheet. And I imagine a lot of you will have seen my read through calculator spreadsheet. Let me actually bring it up to show anyone who's not familiar with it. Read through calculator. Share this little screen here. Share screen. All right, this is what it looks like. And some people will probably, kind of find this sort of thing a little bit scary. Can I move this to the right? No, I can't move where my little picture is. Oh, well, because what you have to do is you have to fill in basically on here anything in green. You put in all the numbers for your series, and then it will tell you down at the bottom here what your profit is. So anytime anyone buys book one, you make $12.47 in read through, and then, sorry, in sell through. I try to use the terms. I use the term for read through sometimes generically for both KU and sales, but if I'm trying to be specific, I'll say sell through for sales and read through for KU. So in this scenario, every time someone sold book one, their sell through value would be $12 and their read through value would be $28. Marcia, I'm struggling with doing it myself and having to listen to myself. On top of most people just hating their own voice already, I sort of have the transgender angle on top of that. So I think I'm just going to end up using text to speech for it. But the place that I'm using, it's so good that people have been using it. It's 11labs.com and submitting them to ACX, and ACX has been accepting them because it sounds like a person. So I think that's what we're going to go with. Unless I can somehow manage to get myself to narrate the whole thing, but it is coming, I promise. By 20 books, I'll put my stake in the ground. I'll have it done by 20 books. And so a lot of people aren't super keen on filling this in. Some people are just sort of terrified by spreadsheets. It looks like a lot of numbers. They feel like they won't be able to understand what it's going to give them. And so they just honestly don't do it. And then, of course, this just tells you what your read through is. Then you have to figure out ad profitability and determine, cost per click and how many clicks to convert and all that. And then say, like, is my read through value enough to make my ads profitable, or is my read through too low and my ads aren't profitable? It gets to be like looking at a lot of different numbers in a lot of different places and trying to put them all together. That's what we're getting to, Heidi. So Solaris is software I'm building. I used to be a software engineer for over a decade, actually. I've built a lot of things. I've probably built somewhere between 500 and 1,000 websites. I kind of completely lost track after a while. But I've also built a lot of platforms. For example, I was responsible for I built a lot of it, and I did the last minute port of it for the back end for Obama's WhiteHouse.gov, for example. So our company hosted actually it's funny, our company hosted Obama's campaign website, Mitt Romney's campaign website, stuff for Fox News, and stuff for Al Jazeera. We were just whores. We would just take business for anybody. But when Obama was elected, of course, then we had to get the contracts in place to host WhiteHouse.gov. And on top of that, the hosting platform that we were making for him was a multi-tenant. So, like, everybody, it would be like Squarespace. Like, everybody logs into the same Squarespace or Shopify, but the White House had to have their own. They could not have the same system that everybody else logged into, and it had to be like separate and secreted away and behind on certain special servers and stuff like that. And this system wasn't built for that. So I had 2 weeks to take the system and turn it from what's called multi-tenant to single tenant, and then retool it to run in the White House special environment. And I basically spent 2 weeks in a conference room, barely going home, working on this. And on top of that, I'm a Canadian citizen, and only US citizens could have access to it once it moved on secure servers. So I had to do all this work in such a way and then document it so that I could hand it off to someone else to maintain it after I built it. So got to do a lot of crazy things back in the day. But all right, I know. I'm sorry, Vicky. I'm scaring you with this spreadsheet here that's sitting here. Hello, by the way, everybody. Carmen and Vicky and Heidi and Yasmin. Um, yeah, it's a lot to figure out, isn't it, Yasmin? So nobody wants to do this. I don't want to do this. The other tricky thing with this too is like you have to like, how do you maintain history? How do you see trends over time and stuff like that? It's hard. So what I ended up doing is I made this software called Solaris. So this is my, make sure everything's showing on screen properly here. Dun, da, da. Yeah, so this is my local development environment in Solaris. So it's got this little green bar at the top to let me know that I'm on my local development environment, sort of thing people wouldn't normally see. But it's a site system, and I've got a lot of prettying to do. In fact, my daughter, or our daughter, who's an artist, did a bunch of icons and stuff like that and graphics that I'm going to be putting in. Some of the things that are here. This is a thing we actually have on our current website too, called the ad score calculator, where you basically answer some basic questions about your ads and then say like, yes or no to these different things. I have some tweaks to do in here insofar as like how the videos look. They're all pulled in from YouTube, and YouTube does not give you a lot of options for sizing things nicely. But be that as it may, it will then give you like a score as you go, and each video will explain, hey, if you got this problem, then here's what you can do to improve your score. This is going to be freely available to everybody, and I'm probably going to do work enhancing it, keeping these videos up to date and whatnot, so everybody will sort of keep getting access to this bit tool to just basically help you out get your ads better. But the other part is the read-through calculator. So, rather than having to fill out this terrible spreadsheet all the time, and every time like you want to do it again, you've got to like put in all of your numbers and look them up and stuff like that if you don't have the old ones still sitting around. So what Solaris does is before you can do read-through, you actually have to put your books into the system. But before you can put books into the system, you have to put your series into the system. Actually, you don't. You can choose to put standalones in as well. So I have, I've got 3 series in here, but only only one series has books in it. And to add books, you just basically click add book. You put in the information. You pick if it's a standalone or if it's in a series. If you fill in the KENPC number, which is your Kindle edition normalized page count, then it knows it's in KU, and it will then give you KU features. If you don't put that in, then it knows the book's not in KU and doesn't ask you to fill in KU stuff or give you KU read through and stuff like that. Whereas the old spreadsheet kind of got a little bit squirrely. If you didn't fill in the KU stuff, it would show some errors. It didn't actually affect the output, but it was disconcerting to some people. So once you get your series in here and your books, you can then do read through for each of these, and you can jump right to doing read through from here, or you can go back to the dashboard and do it that way. But I'm just going to jump right in here. So when I went to the dashboard, of course, when I just clicked on read through, it didn't know what series I wanted, and I had to pick it. But when you click from your series listing, it will automatically know that. So I'm doing my best to really have a lot of what are called quality of life things in here, just to make it so that the system understands what you're trying to do and has good context. So if I do a new read through calculation, all I have to do is just pick the date range that's for. Usually like at least 1 month is good. And then you just put in your book sales and your page reads for each book. If your book's isn't in KU, then it will only have the book sales column, and you just put the numbers in for each book, and it will then calculate your read through. So much less to fill in, right? Than having to do that longer thing. And then once it's done, you get the details that look like this. Now, this still does kind of look like some scary numbers. We'll be doing some work to kind of push some of the important information to the top, because really, if you're just getting into this and want to say like, how much money do I make on read through? These numbers now at the bottom here are really the only important numbers. Let me scroll up so you can probably see those above my picture a little bit better. These are the only important numbers. So I'm going to make it so they shine at the top. But you still kind of need to have an understanding of like your ad spend and your profitability and your CPC and whatnot to know if, hey, Chad, to know, oh my goodness, Judith, that's unfortunate. Well, the great thing is you honestly won't have to look at this. I'm more and more as this product matures, it's going to be that the detailed numbers will still be available, but only for the people who want to dig into them. And then I'm going to surface the high level information that people are going to want. And the thing that people are really going to start liking to see is the ROI estimator. So in here, I'll pick my series, and it'll say like, hey, start with the read through that you did, because the system needs to understand your read through to understand your ROI. And this was the part that was always the hardest, was marrying this data with people. And so it gives me some basic things. It's like, hey, in this period, you sold, this is some example data I have, 328 books, and you got 188,000 page reads. Your book 1 to 2 sales is only 29%, which isn't great. And your 1 to 2 reads is 66%, which is better, but still not great. Your total series sales read through is 16%, and your total series read through is 32%. So twice as many people will complete this series if they're in KU than if not, which is a really important thing to think about when you think about going wide, right? If you're in this situation here, you'd be like, man, I don't make nearly as much money. Like I guess my books aren't compelling enough as people go through them for them to keep paying this higher price. Um, so maybe I should stay in KU because despite the fact that I get paid less, I sell twice as many books, later on in my series in KU than I do from sales. So it's useful information right there. And then this is the most important part, like how much money you make in read through. So this part really bubbles up what you need to pay attention with read through. Then for this date range that you've picked here, you'll put in your ad spend, you'll put in your royalties, and it estimates based on your read through what your royalties would have been. And I found that this thing is actually accurate within about 5%, which is awesome. So it estimates and actually, to be honest, the biggest difference is the KU price changes over time. So you put in what you actually spent and what you actually made, and then you take and you put in your AMS and Facebook ad spend as well. So that's this ad spend will cover both of those. So if I actually even mouse over this, oh, my little pop over things aren't working right now. There's little help things that will show up. And then you put in how many clicks you got. So how many clicks you got from your AMS ads for this series, how much money you spent on this series, and then how much your royalties were for this series. Then you also pick, that's your revenue though, Vicky. That's not your actual like number of people reading things. It can be a different beast because my revenue, I'm guessing that's your revenue, Vicky. My revenue is very similar. It's actually very close to 50-50 as well. However, that's weird. You're 47% KU, 46, but that doesn't add up to 100%. Anyway, as it turns out, though, I have way more people reading later in my series in KU than I do with sales, and it's the numbers get kind of neat. All right, and then also you pick your advertised book. If you're a linear series like what I write, it's going to be your first book that you generally advertise. But some people who write standalones, like connected series, they might advertise book 3 because it converts better. So it does allow you to pick that thing. Yeah, so revenue, what that probably means is you actually have way more people reading in KU. And that's one of the things the system will tell you. So you calculate ROI. So here's the nice part for people who don't like looking at a lot of numbers. And there's going to be more graphs than just this in the system. It tells you what your average CPC is across all of your ads. And sort of like if you move into the red zone, it says bad and whatnot, and what your average ROI is off of all of your ads. And then it tells you what your series profit is, which you probably could have figured out on your own pretty easily. But the neat thing here is that in this particular series, the percentage of my ad spend driving sales is 48%. So I'm spending more money driving KU revenue, but I'm actually selling more books. It's still a pretty even split, but it is interesting to see that I actually, dollar to donuts, I actually make by a little bit more money from sales, from like $1 spent on sales will return me more money than $1 spent on KU. But the tricky thing is like, I have some people reading my series in KU that's like, would I get those people to move over to sales if I left? I mean, that's obviously the eternal question. A lot of these numbers are going to have little help things explaining what they are, and they're all going to be color coded. I've gotten into color coding some of them. I'm going to zoom in a bit here just so it's easier to read. But I'll start with the KU side. So the first thing I actually work out is how much money you make every time someone reads a page. So this is counting all of the series read through. So every time someone reads a page, my series, I make 0.8 cents. Well, it's costing me. What is it costing me to get that page read? Well, it's actually costing me a little bit more than that. Oh, sorry. This is my profit. So this profit actually takes out this cost because I actually work out as well what it costs you to get one page read in the book you're advertising. And then I work out your percentage. I'll also work out at what point in your series do you hit profitability. So in this particular book, it's at Orion Rising. Once you get to Orion Rising, you've made $5.24 and you're now profitable from there on out in the series. And for me, I know Orion, I'm going to put like the number of the series in there. For me, I know Orion Rising is my third book in the series. And then my total KU profitability for each read of my ABO. ABO stands for advertised book only. Just sort of like, rather than writing out titles and stuff, I decided to do this. So every time someone does a full read of the first book in my series, I make $5.37. And it costs me $6.98 to get that. So, and again, more pretty graphics are coming to help with this, but some of these details are really interesting. So like, I lose $4.28 on my first book. However, the system knows that this is a 13 book series and it knows what my read through is. So it says, hey, losing $4.28 on your first book is okay. And depending how long your series is and what your read through is, that color coding changes. So if this was a 2-book series, that would be red. It would be bad. So there's a lot of good information in there as well. And then over here on the sell-through side, interesting thing of note is I am profitable on book 2 in my series, whereas in KU it takes to book 3 to be profitable. So I need that better read through in KU to be profitable. And then every time someone buys book 1, I make $5.16 on total read through. I also have things in here like I've got little tool tips to help out as well. I have my number of clicks to sell my advertised book only. And in KU, 43 clicks to sell, if you're in KU, is actually pretty good. If I was a wide author, this would be on like the bad end of okay. It would be moving, it'd be very close to like not good. And then how much money I make in royalties whenever I sell first book one, and then my loss, because it's costing me $5 to sell it. I only make $3.39 off of it, so I lose $2.54. So I actually lose less money on book 1 for sales than I do on KU, which is why it only takes the second book read through to be profitable. And of course, this is a lot of information to sort of absorb, but I think probably the people who are used to doing data analysis are like thinking about the things they could do with this. And those who aren't are hoping I make more pretty graphs like this, which there will be. There'll be a lot of pretty graphs that will tell you things. And there's gonna be a lot of links to videos on these things, both like, so there'll be a video link, like watch the video to explain this. And there'll be a link that says like, just read the text, because not everybody wants to learn from video. So we're gonna have that as well. 7% paperback, of course, Vicky. I normally consider paperback revenue to be part of just regular sales. So that's why I was a little bit in there. Fathom Solaris calculates AMZ plus Facebook ads. Yeah, it is kind of obnoxious to have to do that. Eventually, this tool, by the way, so right now, this first phase 1 of this tool that's coming out in September will sort of just be an aggregate per series situation. I am going to be making it so you can do using the data that you get from AMS for both AMS ads and the affiliate links, that you could do per ad analysis. That's going to take a little bit longer because I have to make a lot of assumptions, because those tools don't have very good reporting and they miss a lot of the sales. So it's going to be more for doing head-to-head comparisons between ads, but that'll be coming as well in Solaris. The other thing that'll be not part of phase 1. The other thing I'm hoping to get into phase 1 is a simulator that lets you say, what if I had a lower cost per click? Or what if I had better conversion? So you can like play around with these numbers and say like, hey, my conversion percentage is this. What if I had this as a conversion percentage? And it'd be like, you would make this much more money, or what if I just lowered my cost per click, but my conversion stayed the same? You would make this much money. So that'll be a really cool part of this as well. And then it will like update all of the sliders and kind of just show you how much money you'd be making with those different things in place. So, yes, Dave Cheston's going to come for me, Vicky. Absolutely. Paperback sales a different royalty amount, so there'll be ways to calculate that. I will be adding in paperback stuff that will come later. I'll also think about that, because I'll have to get a lot more details. I might actually have to make it so that you do that's a really good question you ask. There's so many edge cases and corner cases in here that it becomes a lot. Eventually, I will be working through all of those edge cases. I probably won't worry about paperback sales right now, because for the vast majority of authors, paperback sales and audiobook sales sort of just happen as a result of your ebook advertising. You don't drive those directly that much. That's not true for people who sell like middle grade or younger stories or people that sell nonfiction. It's a different scenario. So I will need to take that into account, and I'll probably need to get authors to put in their printing costs as well. Because the way that it works for paperback, of course, is that Amazon takes their 40% right off the top of your paperback sale, and then you pay the printing cost of the remaining 60%. So that would actually be some really cool analysis to put in there. So this is sort of like what the first version of this is going to look like. Like I said, I want to get that simulator in here as well. That might not be ready for the beginning of September, but I'm very close. A lot of people are already using parts of this in beta or in alpha right now. They have a lot of people have access to the oops, that's not what I meant to click. A lot of people have access to the read through calculator part and all the books tools, so they have been tested with a bunch of different authors, playing with them and trying them out. It's the ROI estimator and the pricing planner that I'm working on now. Pricing planner will also be out in September, and what that thing is going to do is look at your read through data and look at your ROI data that you've put in and determine what would happen if you changed book one from $4.99 to 99 cents or to $2.99, or what would happen if you changed all of your books. And it would actually simulate changes in read through. It would, because every time you raise prices, you do get slightly lower read through. Typically in the early books, it matters more. In the later books, it matters less. But it will simulate all those changes and be like, okay, your read through is now dropping because of this. But you're making more money. So did the increase in money offset the read through loss? Or you're going to lower your book one from $4.99 to 99 cents. It's going to simulate that. I mean, obviously reality is always going to be king in what actually happens, but it's going to give you an idea at least of what to expect and what could happen. So you'd lower from $4.99 to 99 cents on book one. Your read through from book 1 to 2 is going to plummet. After that, it typically stays about the same, but you'll sell more books, even though you'll make less money, and your read through goes down. So it'll be like, are you going to be more profitable by making this decision? So that's in there too. Hey Kelly, how are you doing? So yeah, and like one of these I was talking to about different edge cases are things like the fact that what if someone has book 1 wide so they can have it perma-free, and then book 2 onwards is in KU. Like there's a lot of things like I'm not prepared for that situation. I mean, prepared for that situation in that it won't work. Because it looks as if books 1's in KU before it lets you have all the KU features. Probably the way to work around that would be just to exclude the perma-free and treat everything as though book 2 was your first book. That would probably be the way to handle all of that stuff, which actually isn't a bad way to deal with the analysis of that in general, because that's really your first like paid conversion event is the purchase of book 2, despite what you're advertising. Yeah, so there's gonna be a lot of ways around these things, but my goal with this is to really build it out into this full-fledged software that's going to do everything we need. So phase 1 is just these features that we talked about, and the access, and these features will continue to evolve. I'm going to continue to make them more robust, easier to parse, fixing bugs, all that sort of thing. But the plan for these is that you pay once and you have lifetime access to these tools. So the read-through calculator, and of course the cool thing with read-through calculator is you can put in every month, you could do your read-through, and then one of the features that will be coming is like a trend. Has your read-through gone up or down over time? Like say, for example, you have a mistake in your back matter. It's surprising how often I work with people and there's a mistake in the back matter, either just like missing links or linking to the wrong book. All sorts of things can happen. You fix your back matter, you can look, did my read-through improve? So I'm going to be putting together graphs for that, which are going to be pretty cool. And that will continue to be part of the read-through thing. So if you get access to just the read-through part, you'll continue to get new things. The read-through calculator is going to be $10 one time, lifetime access. I mean, I'll probably in the terms of service define lifetime access as like 10 years or something like that, just in case like I die and I don't want Jill to have to maintain this thing for 10 years after I die or something like that. Some sort of stipulation like that. But as long as I'm alive and kicking, it'll be up and free. And then the ROI estimator and the pricing planner will be $15 lifetime access. And if we're going to do a bundle where if you want to get all three, it's $20 one time, yours forever. And like I said, I'm going to be continually improving and working on these. It's not like you just get this static product that's the same forever. It's going to be a living, breathing, growing thing that's going to get better features and whatnot. I am working on, well, I haven't started yet, but I will be working on more advanced features that will have an ongoing subscription cost. Stuff that's going to automatically pull reports from all the different supply vendors. So going to pull sort of retailers. So it's going to pull reports from the retailers. It's going to pull reports from the advertising side of things, and it's going to merge it all together automatically. My goal is to make it so that ultimately you don't have to type in any numbers to do any of this stuff. It will just know all of the numbers and feed them all in for you. But of course, the phase one can't do that because that's all really hard. And because that requires ongoing maintenance and server time and all this sort of thing, that's part of why that will be a subscription service. But my ultimate goal is to make it so that anything that you do with whatever book sales tracking software that you do, anything you do analyzing your ads, and anything you do, like even just doing basic category research and stuff like that, will actually all be inside Solaris. Because for Solaris to function the way I need it to function, even for myself and the clients who consult with me, I need a one-stop shop that does all of these things. And then once I, of course, have all of this data coming in, I'll be able to say like, hey, you changed price. And I can actually show you like a timeline of events on your books. Like it'll have a marker for when the price changed. It'll have a marker for when you updated categories and what they were before and what they are after. That's all like longer term stuff that I'm doing, but I have a vision for this that I'm really impressed about. On top of all of that too, one of the things I'm doing with this is like I'm really lucky that I had all those years working in software development, because what I'm going to be doing as I do this is I'm already built to scale. I want this thing to be fast. I want to be fast and responsive and work really well. And I also want that I can roll updates and not have to interrupt anybody's workflow. So I've already got things set up with database servers that can scale, that can be in multiple places in the world simultaneously and keep each other in sync. I already have it so that core key information is stored in what's called Amazon's AWS service, so that it's accessible anywhere and it's all fault tolerant. The whole system can actually completely go down. In fact, my provider could go out of business and I could spin the whole thing back up in about an hour. So I'm really excited about that stuff, that I can roll out updates and do bug fixes without being like, okay, I'm working on it, but I have to do all this testing, and I won't get this bug fixed for a week. It'll be more like, boom, fix the bug, tests ran automatically, it all worked, and the new release goes out. So you guys are going to get the benefit of all of that too, of a decade on the software side. I had a decade before that on the hardware side of just understanding how to build software at scale. That thousands of people use and make sure it's reliable and backed up and secure and all that sort of thing too. All right, I'm way behind on comments. Let me see what you guys are all saying here. Oh my good, squirrels are the worst. Goodness, Kelly, squirrels are the worst. Both the ADHD ones and the real ones. I agree wholeheartedly. This is all web-based software, Yasmin, so it'll work anywhere, including on your phone. In fact, let me share my screen here again. Let's see how well this works on the stream. So as I scale it down, the system is responsive, and will adjust itself accordingly. I've not actually tested this page to see how well it works with responsive, but it should be pretty good. So this is the ROI estimator. Let me load it up with all of the data. And look at that. Here it is, how it would look on a phone. I probably have to deal with a little bit of font sizing and stuff here. I probably need to make it so these two sections stack instead of are side by side on the phone, but it's going to work everywhere. That's my goal, is that out of the box, this system will work everywhere for everyone. So, I mean, unless you're using like an ancient version of Mozilla browser or something like that, I'm sorry if that's the case, but otherwise it's going to work for you. All right. Yeah, Yasmin, my goal, for this initial stuff, like this $20 one-time fee, I think that's like a no-brainer. And that's kind of my goal, was to price it at no-brainer price. So that anybody who needs access to this stuff, wants this data, it's like you'd be, if you value your time, you'd spend more time doing this manually than you would do it using my system. Financially, like it would just cost you time. So $20 is like easy. I'd love to have like everyone using this, so that when we talk about our numbers, we could all be sort of talking about the same numbers. And I also plan on actually taking my core calculations. I've already done this with a few people, but I'm probably going to run them past more people in the community to say like, hey, do you spot a fault in my logic here? Part of the tricky thing too is we have to make some assumptions about things because we don't know for sure. Like for example, we sort of assume in a linear series that everybody that read the series read linearly, but what if some people don't? right? Or you're like in romance and you're advertising, even if you're advertising book 1, how do you know that everybody read book 2 next? What if some people go read book 3 next because book 2 didn't look interesting? That totally happens. So there are some assumptions, and that'll be one of the things too that I'm going to get vetted by other people, get folks who are good at math and understand the business and sit down with them and say, like, where do you see the fault in my logic? Because I want to make sure I'm not giving people bad information. Luckily, I've worked with so many authors and I've seen so much data. Like I've worked with, at this point, well over 500 authors personally, like looking at their data on top of all the authors I've worked with, where I'm not doing deep analysis on all of their data. So I have a fairly good understanding of what's important and how to process it. And the subscription software will be more. It's going to have tiers. So depending on what you want, you don't have to buy the whole thing. So there'll be baseline tiers. There'll be about as much money as Book Report, and we'll give you, I think they'll actually give you more information than Book Report does. And there'll be some higher end tiers that will give you all sorts of things, because I plan on making this work for wide authors too. So it's going to be Book Report plus wide, right? Plus all this ad analysis and marketing analysis. I want to make it ultimately too, so it even takes into account, like, you had a book club. What did this do? It's going to get pretty exciting. But yeah, so the baseline subscription package will be about what Book Report or Author Helper Tools is. And then there will be some higher end ones. They're going to have a lot more power to them. There'll be more money. I can't imagine anything being up over $50 a month though, even for like the super high end, ultimate analysis tools and stuff like that. All right, so what else we got here? Wait, who said they have a custom built computer? I want to catch up with that. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that's cool. My rig's custom built too. In fact, I was thinking, like, one of the things I love that I want to show is, like, this is one half of my keyboard, and it's like, it's unplugged right now, but it's a split keyboard because I only use ergonomic split keyboards, but it's also mechanical key switches. It's so awesome. This is the only good, reliable mechanical switched ergonomic keyboard out there. It's stupid expensive too, unfortunately, but I'm such a nerd for that sort of thing. All right. Dun, dun, dun. So most of this goes right over my head. You're on my brain. Oh, thanks, Rachel. Again, the big thing I'm really going to push for as I go is more pretty graphs like this. More things that will say, this is a good number, and here's why if you're interested. But if you don't want to get into the technical understanding of why, well, I'm probably going to do this at multiple levels. Like, they'll be like, this is a good number, here's why, and then here's the deeper explanation for the data nerds as to why it's this number is good or bad. This is a bad number, here's why. Here's what you can do to make it better. That's what the whole thing's focused on. It's not just giving you these numbers, but I'm going to fill the system with actionable advice. If you click on a little thing, a little video will pop up saying, this is, you're seeing this number because of this. If this number is below this value, it's probably because of this. This is what you can do to fix it, so on and so forth. So I'm going to really work. I basically want to put myself out of a job when it comes to consulting. That's kind of my goal here. All right. Can say, can't believe I'm not charging more. Yeah, Eric. I mean, for the subscription level stuff, you will be paying more, and it'll be ongoing. But like I said, I really want everyone to be using this, not because I want all the money in the world. I just want people to have good access to good reporting data and understand what's happening with their series. I want people to stop spending money on things that aren't working, and that's one of the things that this is really gonna help with, I think. The Hotbot search engine, yeah, I totally forgotten about Hotbot. This the other day, I was telling my daughter about Hasta La Vista. For those of you who don't remember, it was the hacker search engine. It was how you would search, like, it was the original dark web, basically. It was how you would search, like, all the sites hosting illegal software and all sorts of things like that. It eventually got shut down, obviously, but Hasta La Vista, because Alta Vista was, one of the big search engines back then. So Hasta La Vista, baby, was the hacker version. Authors having done their latest mal, and everyone understands. I like that, Carmen. Have you used mal software? What did it say? That will warm the cockles of my heart. Pardon me. Yeah, you're right, Danica. Sometimes you do read series non-linearly, especially the way that Amazon's listing series right now. They're doing this thing now where sometimes they skip a book in the series when they're doing the series listing. It's infuriating. All right. Yasmin says time savings is huge. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Yasmin. You can totally just, you're not only just doing it wrong makes it take 3 hours, but what if you didn't realize you did it wrong? And then you base decisions off of that. Whoops, off that wrong information. I just slammed my knee into my desk. Ow. Yeah, of course, like Jill said, pass it on to other people. Stay tuned because there'll be more information coming as well. And this is going to be, one of my major projects over the next 1 to 2 years, possibly even further, depending how it goes. But it's going to be like a one-stop shop for everything that you need, and it's going to tie it all together. It's going to be like, look, you changed this thing. We did this. We estimate that if you improved your categories, you might be able to get an orange tag based on your current sales history. Like I have like a never-ending list of cool features I want to add. It's called Solaris. I mean, technically, the domain name is Solaris Optima because the domain name Solaris is just Solaris is a long time gone, but Solaris Optima is where it's going to be. Your significant other will pop. I don't know what that refers to, Kelly. I'm guessing some sort of sci-fi story that I should know. Rachel Lynn says, the software is incredible for someone like me who's not math-minded. It allows me to make their dreams real. Oh, you're very welcome, Rachel. That's my goal. Just like even just looking at these numbers, being like, okay, this is a good ROI. And if it's bad, it's going to be like, hey, this is what you can do to improve your ROI or your CPC, that sort of thing. Yes, does the keyboard work well for you? I'm still buying the Microsoft Ergonomic off eBay because it's the only one that works for me. I used to be a Microsoft Ergo user. I switched to the Sculpt because it was just cheaper and it was light and actually was still pretty good. But this one, I mean, it separates, so you can mount it. I mean, it comes with, you can buy this additional tenting thing to make it so the middle stands up like the Ergo. It was like $80. After spending $400 on this keyboard, I couldn't bring myself to do that. But I'm just going to build my own little tenting system to tent it up, which I just haven't gotten to yet. But I think it is. I think it's because it also has layers too. So because it is missing keys, like it doesn't have the arrow keys, it doesn't have a home and an end key. So you have like these extra keys to change layers on the keyboard. And then it will make it so different keys do different things, but you can color code it all. So I hit my layer and then I can actually see like the WASD become the arrow keys and they're orange. And then Q and E are like home and end and they're purple. It's really wild. Awesome, Kelly. I'm glad that you think it'll be helpful. We are making a page. In fact, I think Jill put this. If Jill didn't put the link up, hopefully she does. If not, I'll try and find it. Here it is. Here's the link. If you go here, you can fill out this form, and then it will. Oh, that's only putting that on. Oh, Jill's already put the form in. Well, I just added it to YouTube. That way you can get in and be notified when this becomes released, which will be probably in about 3 weeks. The pricing planner won't take me that long to do, and then I just have to do the e-commerce part of it, which isn't super hard because I'm going to use Stripe for most of it, but I just have to make it so that Stripe says, hey, they actually paid, and then I give them the right access. But I've already built the whole access system. Oh, another cool thing, because cool things abound. It's going to support Teams. So you can actually give your PA or VA access, or your co-author. You can give your co-author access, and then they can have access to all the same data, and they can have viewer access or editor access. So you can say like, well, if you load up Solaris, I did this read-through calculation and you can see XYZ, and they can load it up too and look at that as well. And you don't have to like be giving your main access away to everybody. You have this whole team thing. If you're working with like a company doing your ads for you, like us, you can grant that company access, and then they can look at your ad data too. It's going to be game changing in so many ways. Yeah, it's pretty awesome, isn't it? Digma. I'm just gonna look. This is for Yasmin. Nobody else cares about this. Hey, maybe you do. There you go, Yasmin. I have the one on the left that doesn't have so many keys under the thumbs. One of the things too that I'm super particular about with my keyboards is a lot of like the elite gamer keyboards. They're like this one on the right where the keys are aligned vertically, and like the Ergo is a popular mechanical split keyboard, but they have the keys aligned vertically like this. And I've been typing for eons. I don't go straight up from D. I go straight up to the left from D because my hand curves. Like when my fingers are on an axis, that's why the D, E, and the C, if you look on the keyboard on the left, are not straight up and down from one another. So I was so happy when I saw they have one that has the traditional sort of offset key layout, because that's what we use. And also, if I use another keyboard, I need to be at least be able to like type on it when I sit down in front of it. Anyway, that's a whole different situation. So yeah, so I'm really stoked, and I'm glad you guys all are as well. And yeah, it'll be big once this comes out. Spreading the word is going to be huge, because not just because I want to make money, um, but I want to make it so that everybody has access to this, and then I make enough money to make it something that I can spend more and more time on, right? Like the more people get this, the more time I can dedicate to it. Ultimately, hiring an additional developer, hiring a QA person, hiring a testing team. Like I want to turn this into like a full-size software organization where we get to do everything right. And so the more people that I can sell it to, the more money we put back into it and build into an even better piece of software. And then ultimately make it so that I don't have to. I mean, I like doing one-on-one consulting, and I still will keep doing it, I imagine. But for a lot of people who may be like, well, Mal, I can't afford your one-on-one consulting, because it's getting access to high-end ad consulting, people is expensive. They'll be like, hey, pretty much everything you're going to learn in my one-on-one ad consulting is eventually going to be in this software. I suppose, except for like, having my brain analyzing your ads on the fly. I guess is one of the things you won't get, but you're going to get really close, because you're going to have the software that my brain wrote plus videos and explanations that I wrote. So it's going to be pretty awesome. I mean, we are kind of launching a new company, I guess, aren't we, honey? So yeah, that's the spiel. And thanks everyone for hanging out and chatting and whatnot. I can't believe I just spent 45 minutes talking about this. Clearly, I'm going to have to make a more concise video explaining the whole thing, but that's like not my strong suit. Being concise when I'm on video is not something I'm super good at. But yeah, it's exciting nonetheless. So one thing I should mention as well is that last Friday we did an AI art class where we talked about a lot of things. We talked about the ethics of AI art, how the different companies making AI art source their information, and who respects, do not ad lists and who doesn't, and who's probably working on it but isn't yet, and stuff like that. And then a lot of advanced stuff on how to generate really nice looking images. And a lot of the prompts that I show people actually work across a lot of different programs, like whether using Midjourney or Stable Diffusion or Adobe Firefly's getting there, or Dream Studio, Dolly, how a lot of commands and whatnot I show will work on all of them. Or the prompts will work on all of them, the commands won't. And so that's you can still get that. You can get the recording of that class, and that's just part one. Part two is not about AI art. It's about how to take art that you have via whatever means you got it, and turn that into covers, or turn it into like assets that you can use as part of your writing business that look good. Because we've all seen, the covers where it looks like someone just took a picture and then just pasted some text on top of it, and they did it like in Microsoft Paint. Like, it just doesn't look like a cover. It looks like a picture with words on top. And there's subtle things that separate a picture from a piece of art that's being used as a book cover. And that's one of the things we're going to be getting into, is like how to take that book, that art that you have, and not make it look like a picture with some text on top of it. How to make it look like a cover, how typography matters, and how typography is genre related and stuff like that. So that'll be next Friday, and I'll be like probably a 2 to 3 hour class that will be doing that. And again, both of these are recorded. So if you didn't sign up yet, you can get the recording of the first class, and then I'll have Q&A at the end of the second class. So if there's any questions that come up about the AI art side of things, we'll also deal with that in the second class. But my goal is to make it so that you can actually, whether you're getting them from, a stock photo website, your own photography, AI art generation, how you can turn those things into covers, or like postcards, or ad images, and all sorts of different things. So a lot of cool stuff there. You'll get there, Judith. You totally will. Someone needs to stop Jill. Yes, they do. The expansion of the Cooperverse. That's awesome. All right, folks, I got to jet because, as usual, I have a call coming up in, holy smokes, in 9 minutes. I talk so long. So I will see all of you. For those of you who are just coming on, start back from the beginning if you haven't already, because I walked through the new software I'm building and it's getting really close and starting to look really good. Also, feel free to follow me on my personal page or join our group, because I'm going to be putting more pictures and posts showing the progress in there to kind of keep it, because I'm excited. So I want to share posts and say, like, look at the pretty thing that I did. So there'll be more and more of that. All right, folks, have yourselves a fantastic day. Hope your Friday rocks too, and hope your weekend is awesome. I'll see you next Thursday, same time, same place. Bye. If I can find the end button, where is it? There it is. All right, now bye.